your expertise is in screening, and you talked a little bit about identification. So how do we leverage the screening practices and then subsequently, the intervention for English learners who demonstrate a reading difficulty?
Right. So first of all, I would like to say, and I actually evaluate, and have evaluated for getting, more than 30 years, young students. And what I want to alert you to, what I want to describe is when students have issues. For example, you heard me talk about language as the foundation for reading. So when young students aren't speaking like the other students, their peers, when they're having trouble producing sounds, and not all sounds are in a child's repertoire at 4 or 5. It's not until about the ages 6 to 7 that they really get all the sounds of the language in place, right? But what we see, for example, is that children that have these like speech sound disorders or already having trouble understanding language, that places them at risk for future reading difficulties. We do know that. And what we have in this country is we, have tools available in English, tools available, for example, in the language of Spanish. And now we're really thinking about, and I'm in a team of people that I'm just so honored to work with, that we're really trying to look at what we call a truly minimally, bilingual, biliterate kinds of screenings. And now with new technology and AI, what are the possibilities? And so we're having those discussions, writing about it, and really thinking about what the future will hold, that if we have enough in technology that can really understand through that, what the child is saying, and can we, really capitalize about that and get a true, minimally bilingual, biliterate score. And so there's been a lot of work in speech and language looking at that, and we're doing more in looking at that in reading. And then that way, it's not, typically what happens in schools today is, okay, let me look at their native language score, their home language score. Let me look at their score in the second language. And you also have to look at what have been the opportunities, the language of instruction model. And what we always do is look at, what's the history, what's been the opportunity. But we want to understand and just the total child, what if they had the opportunity for, what has been the language of instruction model, right? How are they responding? Are they responding in a bilingual, biliterate manner? And if so, we give credit for that. We honor it. We understand it better. We know where they are. I think that's so important. And I give the example. So there's many things. There's been some, kind of meta-analyses done of looking at, what are those early signs, and those early signs, of, oh, guess what? Being able to, tell me about, what sound you hear at the beginning of the word, or tell me about, the rapid naming of things. There's been some look at that with students who are multilingual. But I think the future holds so much more. But we know enough to know, okay, here's these little things that we should be looking at in the early years. And we find that, and from researchers also across other countries, kind of that they're finding the same things as well. And as we're worried about over-identification, you're not there to identify a preschooler or kindergarten student for a reading disability. You're there to think about what? Teaching. And I only become fully concerned about that is when we teach, and the students aren't responding as, we think they should in comparison to their peers. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity. There's some national funding, there's some private funding, and there's a bunch of projects going on right now in screening for these students. And so we're very pleased about that work, that opportunity. And it's exciting to see where we are now. And I think through technology, we're going to be able to do much better.